Hey, 11th grade Gemara. This is Mr. Raymond recording the Gemara, and if I have time on this video, the Tosfots that we read. I apologize for getting this to you so late. I planned on doing this on Thursday night, but the crazy snow and traffic got me distracted. So hopefully this is still of use to everyone. Here we go. This is the wrong text. I apologize. We're starting on in the middle of Daf Lamed Bet Amud Bet, with the different interpretations of the pasuk Tzedek Tzedek Tirdof. So here we go. Rav Ashi Amar. Rav Ashi said Matnitin Kiddishaninan. Rav Ashi said the Mishnah Matnitin Kiddishaninan, as we had taught already. He's not getting into the whole question of Dine Mamonot versus Dine Nefashot question that we had seen in our last unit, but he is dealing with the pasuk of Tzedek Tzedek Tirdof that we had just seen. Kra'i, but the psukim that we've been dealing with, Echad Ladin, Echad Lipshara. But the psukim which we had saw of B'tzedek Tishpot Amitecha, which was single tzedek, and Tzedek Tzedek Tirdov, which was double tzedek, one pasuk is referring to din, or judgment, ve'echad, one, lipshara, to compromise. Kedetanya, as we learn in the Breita, Tzedek Tzedek Tirdov, echad ladin ve'echad lipshara. This Breita gives us a similar breakdown of the pasuk Tzedek Tzedek Tirdov, justice, justice you shall pursue. One of those words, tzedek, refers to din, and one of them refers to pshara. That's our first approach of the psukim, that tzedek tzedek tirdof, justice justice you shall pursue. The fact that there are two tzedeks teach us one of them refers to the concept of judgment, one of them refers to the concept of compromise. Next, Tanu Rabbanan, tzedek tzedek tirdof, haloch achar beit din yafeh. So we learn in a Breita, the pasuk tzedek tzedek tirdof teaches us to travel after a proper beit din. We said that the word tirdof, to pursue, teaches us that we should travel to a good Beit Din. Don't be complacent. Don't sacrifice on the quality of a Beit Din. Achar Rabbi Eliezer Lod, travel. We've seen a lot of examples on this Amud. Go to the Beit Din of Rabbi Eliezer in the city of Lod. Achar Rabban Yochanan ben Zakkai Livror Chayil. And continue and travel, to the city of Bror Chayil, to Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai. We saw then a tangent, because we had mentioned the city of Bror Chayil. We learned an important lesson about the lengths that Jews went to continue to practice their religion and celebrate their religion together, even in times of persecution. Tana, we learn in the Breita, Kol Rechayim Biborni, Shavua Haben, a Kol Rechayim, the noise of a millstone was a sign in the city of Borni. That was the code they had to announce that the Brit was coming up. Or Haner B'Vor Chayil, in the city of Bror Chayil, this is our tangent connection, that in the city of Bror Chayil, if there was a candle lit, Mishtesham was a sign that there was a feast going on, a wedding feast going on. I apologize if this is unhighlighted. I'll fix that right now. But I'll just highlight the first and last few words. This, again, was a long Breita, very similar to an earlier interpretation, but was focusing more on again, traveling, but not only to a Beit Din, but to a yeshiva. Tanu Rabbanan tzedek tzedek tirdof, justice justice you shall pursue. Haloch achar chachamim leyeshiva. Don't compromise on the quality of a yeshiva. We gave a lot of examples. We're not going to translate every one of them. Rabbi Eliezer Lelod, Achar Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai Livror Chayil, Achar Rabbi Yoshua Lepikiin, Achar Rabban Gamliel Liyavna, Achar Rabbi Akiva Livnei Brak, Achar Rabbi Mati Laromi. We noted this one especially, that even outside of Eretz Yisrael, Achar Rabbi Chanina ben Tradion Lesichni, Achar Rabbi Yossi Letzipori, Achar Rabbi Yehuda ben Beter Lenitzivin, Achar Rabbi Yoshua Legola, and Legola meaning into Babylon, that we can learn Torah anywhere even outside of Eretz Yisrael. Achar Rabbi Lebeit Sharim, and we ended with this very nice idea that hopefully when the Beit Hamikdash is rebuilt, we hope that the Sanhedrin, the ultimate place to learn Torah, to gain wisdom, will be from the Chachamim Lishkat HaGazit. Even as we see in all these examples that Torah has kind of spread across the world, we know that hopefully one day it will return to Yerushalayim in its rightful place. And thus ended our study of Daf Lamed Bet Amud Bet, and we fast forward to Daf Hey Amud Bet to learn the opinion of Shmuel. We're now diving into the question of judgment versus compromise. Gufa. We go back to the original statement that was mentioned earlier. Again, we didn't see the original statement, but the Gemara is coming back to talk about Shmuel's statement. The word Gufa, very importantly, tells us we mentioned something earlier. Let's go back to that. It deserves further attention. Amar Shmuel. Shnayim shedanu dinehem din. Two judges who passed judgment, who offered a verdict of judgment. Dinehem din, it is a valid binding judgment. Ela shenekra beit din chatzuf. But they are called a disrespectful and arrogant Beit Din. We said maybe because they don't feel like following the rules, or they think that they're smart enough that they do not need a third judge. So Shmuel says at the end of the day that two judges are a valid court. It's not advisable. They're Beit Din Chatzuf, but it is valuable. Dinehem Din. Yativ Rav Nachman v'ka'amar lahashmata. Rav Nachman sat from the Shorish Yativ. Yud Taf is from Shin. Yud Shin Bet Yashav. Rav Nachman v'ka'amar lahashmata, and he taught this lesson, meaning Shmuel's statement. Eitive Relava Rav Nachman. Rava asked a question to Rav Nachman, and we saw Eitive on our review sheet that Eitive means he's bringing a question from a source. He's quoting a Braita to challenge the opinion of Shmuel that Rav Nachman had just been teaching. Afilu shnayim mizakin o shnayim mechayvin. If two judges vote innocent or two judges vote guilty, ve'echad omer ini yodea, and one judge, sorry about clicking there, and one judge says, I don't know, I can't make up my mind, yosifu hadayanin. The Braita says, and this is where the Braita ends, that you need to add a substitute judge who is able to vote. Ve'iita, and if Shmuel is correct, lehavu kishnayim shedanu, then these two judges who do agree and have made up their minds, let them act as a court of two. Rava's question is, how is it that we have to add a third judge if two judges are valid? If two judges are valid, as Shmuel said, let the two judges who agree, the Shnayim Mezakin or Shnayim Mechayvin, we're going to follow that opinion anyway, so let them be lehavu, like lehiyot kishnayim shedanu. Let the two judges who agree be like a court of two, which Shmuel thinks is okay. The fact that Rava believes, the fact that you have to add a third judge means that two judges is not actually valid. We respond, Shani Hatam, no, this case, the Braita is different. The fundamental difference that explains the rule is, the me'ikara, from the beginning, adata detlata yative. Everyone sat down with the dot, with the knowledge, with the intention of tlata, three, yative, yashvu. So, when the case started, it was with the intention of having three judges there. Hacha, but in Shmuel's case, lav adata detlata yative. When Shmuel says that two people who judge, that means they started with two. So we answer that, yes, Rava, your Braita is correct. If the third judge can't vote, you need to add a judge, because if you start with three judges, you must end with three judges. Shmuel is just saying that if you start with two, two is valid. Rava comes back with another question. Eitive, again, another question from a source. Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel Omer, Hadin bishlosha upshara bishnayim. That Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel, who called Rashbag, says, judgment needs three judges, compromise needs two judges. Obviously disagreeing with Shmuel. Shmuel said Shnayim shadanu, two people who did judgment, not two people who oversaw compromise. The afek koach pshara mikoach hadin, and compromise, according to Rashbag, is more powerful than judgment. Sheshnayim shadanu ba'alei dinin yicholin lachzor bahen. If two plaintiffs receive judgment from two judges, the ba'alei dinin, the litigants, the people who are arguing, yicholin lachzor bahen, they can decide they don't feel like following that verdict. And a verdict that you don't technically have to follow is not really a verdict at all. You didn't accomplish anything. V'shnayim sha'asu pshara, but two judges who oversaw compromise, ein ba'alei dinin yicholin lachzor bahen. That compromise is binding, and the people can't say, I don't feel like following it. So Rashbag is clearly saying that two judges is not valid. You need three judges to do judgment, where Shmuel had said two judges is acceptable. We got into a little bit complicated here on the top of Vav Amud Aleph. V'chi tema, Rava says, if you were to say, we said that we compare this to a some might say argument in a persuasive essay, if you were to say, pligi rabbanan alei de Rashbag, that literally translated, the rabbis argue against Rashbag. So I just quoted a Braita with the opinion of Rashbag. So maybe you'll tell me, if you might say, some might say, that there are the people who disagree with Rashbag. Rashbag is not the majority opinion, and his opinion isn't necessarily authoritative, because there are rabbis who argue with him. The Ha'amar Rabbi Abahu, Rava, still talking, Rava responds to his some might say argument. Didn't Rabbi Abahu say, V'halo Amar Rabbi Abahu, Shnayim Shedanu, two people who judge, L'divrei HaKol, Ein Dinehem Din. Rabbi Abahu, the keywords here, said that it's unanimous, L'divrei HaKol, according to everyone. So Rava says, to break it down, some might say Rashbag is a minority view, but Rabbi Abahu says that everyone agrees two judges are not enough. That everyone agrees two judges can't do judgment, so Rashbag seems to be a unanimous view. So you might tell me Rashbag is a minority view. Rabbi Abahu says he's a unanimous view. And the Gemara responds, which we understood with the help of Rashi, Gavra agavra karamit. Literally, you are Gavra agavra, one man against another man, karamit. You are setting up against each other. You're basically, it's at the end of the day, it's going to be a he said argument. Rashi explained, Rabbi Abahu ad Shmuel. At the end of the day, Rava's entire train of thought will come down to a machloket, a disagreement between Rabbi Abahu, who said it was unanimous, and Shmuel. Shmuel savar pli Rabbanan alei Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel. Shmuel thinks, he believes, that the rabbis do argue against Rashbag. Rava's, some might say, argument was, you might tell me the rabbis disagree with Rashbag. Oh, Rabbi Abahu says it's unanimous. Shmuel would say Rabbi Abahu is wrong. that the rabbis do indeed disagree with Rashbag. So we walked away from this that we don't have a solid answer. We see that there are two approaches. Shmuel's approach saying that two judges can do judgment. Rashbag and Rabbi Abahu saying that two judges cannot do judgment. But we did not. Rava tried to knock out Shmuel's opinion. Rava tried to say that Shmuel has no ground to stand on. At the end of the day, the Gemara says that this is not a knockout blow. That we have a disagreement. You're just pointing out a disagreement. You haven't disqualified Shmuel's opinion completely. We fast forward to the bottom of still on Vav Amud Aleph. Tanu Rabbanan, Keshem Shahadin Bishlosha, Kach Bitzua Bishlosha. Another opinion that just like judgment requires three, Bitzua, which we said is mediation, the same thing as compromise from a different point of view, Kach Bitzua Bishlosha. That compromise mediation also needs three judges. That was our first statement. So our Braita says, number one, that both judgment and compromise require three judges. And then we say, Nigmar Hadin, Iyata Rashai Livtsoa. If the judgment is finished, the judges are no longer able to mediate. They're not allowed to mediate anymore. We'll do another video maybe with me reading Tosfot, but we saw this Rashi appear of Nigmar Hadin. And Rashi said that he believes that when are the judges allowed to no longer mediate? When it's finished. She'amru ish poni ata zakai v'ish poni ata chayav. When the judges say one person is guilty, one person is innocent, what we said in normal language is when the verdict is announced. Tosfot said, when we'll do a separate video of reading Tosfot, Tosfot had said that it's impossible that it means when the judgment is announced, because once the judgment is announced, compromise is no longer relevant. So it must mean that the judgment is decided, but not yet announced. When the judgment is decided, it's not fair to the litigants to mislead them, to tell them, hey, try to work it out, because if I've already made up my mind and one of the people is about to win the court case, it's deceiving them to tell them to make a deal when if they knew what I was going to vote, what the judgment was going to be, they would never want to compromise. So we'll read Tosfot separately, but that was we saw two interpretations of what does it mean, Nigmar Hadin, what does it mean the judgment is finished. And finally, what we've seen are a few different opinions about the pasuk Botzea Berech Ne'etz Hashem, pasuk in Tehillim Perek Yud pasuk Gimel. Literally, we saw it over here. Ki Hillel Rasha Al Tavat Nafsho. The Rasha celebrates the desires of his soul. Uvotzea Berech Ne'etz Hashem. The pshat we said is that the Rasha blesses the greedy and it despises God. But we said we're kind of in Dvar Torah realm where it's not a literal translation, a literal interpretation, but we're teaching a lesson. Rabbi Eliezer ben Noshe Rabbi Yossi HaGlili Omer Asur Livtsoa. This first approach of Rabbi Eliezer ben Noshe Rabbi Yossi HaGlili, it is forbidden to mediate, and anyone who mediates, v'chol habotzea harei ze chotei. Anyone who mediates is a sinner. V'chol hamivarech et habotzea harei ze mina'etz. Anyone who blesses, who praises the mediator is despised, meaning despised by Hashem. V'al ze ne'emar botzea berech ne'etz Hashem. So we said the word botzea and the word bitzua are very similar. So we're understanding the pasuk, botzea berech, someone who blesses the mediator, ne'etz Hashem. Hashem hates him. Ella, yikov hadin et tahar. Rather, let judgment pierce the mountain. The strength of judgment is so that it can metaphorically pierce through a mountain. Shne'emar ki hamishpat elokim hu. That judgment belongs to God, as the pasuk tells us. That judgment is the way to go. V'chein Moshe hayomer, the mantra of Moshe, yikov hadin et tahar. Let judgment pierce the mountain. Aval Aharon ohev shalom v'rovdev shalom misim shalom bein adam l'chavero. Aaron had a different approach, and we saw in Rashi that we believe because Aaron pursued peace, because he chased it. He loved peace. He chased peace, and he brought peace. He brokered peace between different people. That the idea that Aaron chased after it, he did not wait for people to come and hear judgment. He didn't, because once, as Rashi told us, which we'll do in another video, once people come for judgment, you can't convince them to mediate. Aaron gave a different approach. Rabbi Eliezer Omer Haresha Gazal Sa'ashel Chitim V'Tachna V'Af'av V'Frishu Mena Chala. Rabbi Eliezer says if you stole a measurement, an amount of wheat, and you ground it, and you baked it, and you separated challah from it, the mitzvah of hafrashat challah, ketzad mevarech, what bracha should you make? The Gemara says, ein ze mevarech ela min ha'etz. That this is no place to make a blessing. You are despised. V'al ze ne'emar uvotzea berech ne'etz Hashem. And this pasuk, and this is how we understand uvotzea berech, someone who blesses a thief who blesses botzea berech, a thief. The shorish bet tzadi ayin we saw it really means greedy. So the idea of thief is not far off. So a thief who blesses is despised by God. We have to pause the video here. I can only make them 15 minutes at a time, and I will resume with another video in a second.